Okay. Let's see.
She's on his end. Let's see.
I don't know. Hey, Chris, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, so that fixed it. So what I couldn't do is I couldn't click the button that allowed you. The button didn't even exist anymore. It was gone.
Oh, wow.
That allows me to bring you in. So, now we got to regather our audience.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe we postpone it till tomorrow if a lot of people don't get back on. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm sure they will. I told them that I was going to end it and to jump back on. So
cool. Yeah,
I think we'll be all right.
Small guys.
But they already had a few minutes to see the countdown and join us. So
there we go.
Here we go. We got Taylor on and Christopher on. So, well, anyway, how you guys doing up there?
We are doing awesome, man. We, good group, and we unfortunately lost one due to a family emergency. So that's kind of a bummer. We hope everything's going good with her. We won't mention, just in case she's private, what's going on. But you can see these two, master intern. I got another name for him because he's a Marine.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't lose more students once they saw Oscar up there.
Yeah, that's exactly. They were kind of scared, Yeah. Well, it's funny because there's right now at the table with 5 of us. There's 3 of us that are military based, so it's like these others are going, oh shit, we're in big trouble, So, but four, yeah, 4 of us. It's only 2 that's not. Man, it's unreal. And one of us is like badass. I mean, they're all badass. These 2 are, but he's like real badass. Dave's like another level badass. Like every time he walks by me, I kind of pee myself. Badass, And then the Marines about the same level because they're just whack jobs. They're just out there, man. Marines do shit that just nobody else does. The Army looks at him and goes, "Yeah, I ain't doing that." It ain't happening. And the Air Force just goes, "Ew,"
Yeah.
Oh God. And the Navy goes, "Hey, what's up?" So, hey, so let's go in. I want to dedicate this Gloria Rose. I lost a good friend of mine, and wow, just show love to each other. That's all I'm going to say is that when I woke up and I heard about this yesterday, I just never ever figured that I'd be saying bye to Gloria. So she's the first person that we really met here in Big Bear and big champion of our town. No bigger fan of her community than Gloria. And Gloria, I know you're smiling down. Tie-in was she detailed airplanes here for a company called Wing Waxers. And we had that in common. And she just, my love affair for Big Bear. And she really loved our oldest daughter and how edgy our daughter, I mean, she met her and she's like, she had a little TV show. She brought us on the TV program a couple times, one time with our daughter. But Gloria, this is out to you. And, whole community's going to miss you, so boy, just tell people you love them when you can, you just never know what's going to happen. So we're coming off, we had a couple guests. We're coming off of MTE. Oscar, you were at MTE with us. It was killer, wasn't it?
Fun, a lot of fun.
It was unreal. And then Chris, we not only had MTE, but then we hosted the Mafia event on Sunday, and then we went to 2, open garages, open houses with Double Black, one down with William Lara in Miami, and then Mark Elliott up in Jacksonville.
Yeah, we were busy. We did a lot of driving. We saw a lot of the same scenery the entire stretch of the way. Trees and green grass and a straight road.
Chris loves Florida drivers.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Anybody out there from Florida, Either you need to learn to drive better, or I'm sorry that you got to live with all those people.
Yeah, that was a different. It's I've never had it from this perspective of being a passenger in the vehicle, and Chris is a good driver, and it's actually a good thing he's a good driver, because we had some people like try to kill us. It's a different type of driving down there. They're very aggressive, and they're passive aggressive. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to cut you off. Yeah, I am. So, and we saw a lot of partially attached. Like, we saw one truck when I passed it, and I said, what did I say about that one truck? That was one big dent, or that whole truck was wrinkled or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing it was just the whole thing.
There wasn't a straight panel on it.
Was straight. The whole thing was just like, and it's like, yeah, that dude's done what he just did. How he just cut us off. He's done that a lot. So.
Yep.
Well, cool. So I'm going to start out. We'll start out by these guys introducing themselves. So.
Good morning, everyone. Oscar Hernandez, out of Ventura, California, owner and operator of 805 Detail Shop.
Erik, Rutledge, out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I got Motorhead Auto Detailing.
So it two completely different environments, and so it's gonna be fun today talking about. We're gonna talk a little bit about the transition from mobile, because both these guys, a lot of us did, started out mobile, right, and moved into a shop. Maybe some of you didn't, but even if you started out in a shop, you own a shop. I think the input that we're going to get today from these two fellas is going to be pretty powerful, because it's going to give you hints on how you should be not budgeting for a shop, what money, also appreciation for what you have. I think it's a big part of it, because there's a lot of people out there that are mobile based that would love to have a shop, and there are a lot of shops that are maybe running tight on money. Maybe you're super huge, maybe you have the stresses or the relief of a staff, depending on how you're managing it. So we'll jump in there and talk about that a little bit. So you started out, Oscar, we'll start with you. You started out mobile, came out of the military, and then you decided pretty rapidly that wasn't going to work. So kind of share your story with us.
Yeah, so like Renny said, I was mobile for probably about 6-7 months before I got into a shop. And coming out of the Marine Corps, my body just couldn't take it no more on detailing, on being mobile. It was hard on my body, and I needed something a little bit more stable. So I started looking around my shop, my area, to see what the prices were, and kind of got a range of where I wanted to be. Being a one-man shop, I didn't want to get anything this big right here like what Renny has. So I got into a 1,000 square foot shop about 6-7 months into detailing, and it really helped me out a lot. But the struggles to get there was, I was working a night job. If you remember, I was working a night job just to save money to get me enough overhead I saved about 6 to 7 months worth of bills and rent on the shop just before I got into it. Because just like anyone else, when you get into a shop, you think you're going to open up, you're going to have a ribbon cutting, and the cars are going to be lined up. Well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It took a while. I already have some clientele out there in my area, but it took a while to get, cars into the shop, and then giving that luxury service of being mobile and going to them, and then to be like, hey, I can no longer go to your house. You got to bring your cars to the shop. I lost clientele that way, because they were so used to, it's a luxury to have someone go to your house or to your work and do your car. And, when you're telling them, now you got to drop it off, I had to kind of jump through hoops to figure out how to continue to keep these clients. So I started offering them rides home and rides to work. And yeah, it definitely was hard, especially financially. That's a big stressor, is the financial piece of it. Having a shop, everyone thinks it's, nice and cool, and you get to have all this cool stuff up on the walls, but it's not like that, because everything costs money. And if you don't have a budget and watching what you spend, you can easily overspend and buy a lot of things that are just going to sit on the shelf for a long time.
Well, and let's go back to a couple things. The savings is a big part of it, right? I mean, we were talking about that yesterday, Erik. We'll get into yours here in a second, but it was, the putting the money away. And I remember my first shop, it was in the window tinting industry. And I didn't do that. It was the same thing. Ribbon cutting. Our little town did a ribbon cutting for us. I thought, right on, here we go. Bam, crickets. We had work, but it wasn't enough to sustain. Now, the thing that we learned was you got to go hunt. And you've done a great job of going hunting. So you haven't set back. You've actually, and I think this is, again, your discipline, is that you realize that getting connected, and I brag about you all the time, because I think that you've done one of the most, everybody wants to go after social media, and it's great, right? It's fantastic. You kind of took a different approach all on your own. You were doing this way before you met me. and you were going after it. So kind of explain, the hunt for you locally, what you did, getting back.
So my thing is, I was stationed in my hometown, and the last 2 years that I did in the Marine Corps, I was running the Toys for Tots program. So I got really connected with business owners and taking them boxes and collecting toys and giving back to the community. So when I got out and started a business, I already was kind of a part of the chamber. So I joined the chamber and started investing in people and relationships. What can I do for them? Getting involved with nonprofits, doing special projects for them, logistics stuff. We did a Relay for Life. My first year there, I did all the logistics behind a 48-hour event that they had going on, and that really kind of got me connected to the right people that wanted to do business with me. And just staying engaged. I don't do social media. I have it, but I don't run ads. So when I say I don't do it, I don't pay for ads. I'd rather get up, leave the shop, go to a ribbon cutting, support another small business. I do a lot of networking, a lot of giving back right now. I mean, it took years to build this, what we're doing, but my insurance agent, Stephanie Sipe, and myself, we now do car shows, and 100% of our proceeds go to a nonprofit in our local area. And that really helps us on the business side. There's always going to be a business side of it. It's my logo's on, 5,000 flyers around the county, that are going everywhere. And that's promotion on my end, but we do a lot of the work. It's all the work falls on us behind the scenes on our own time. It's on top of running our own businesses. So I really just believe investing in people, and how can you help others, and then eventually that's going to turn around.
So a lot of people might say, well, that's old fashioned. First off, how old are you?
I'll be 40 this year.
40. So 30, you're still in your 30s. Let me tell you, this is a foundation. Relationship building has never changed. You can go back to biblical times. You can go back to prehistoric times. You can go back 100 years. You can go back yesterday. And it all comes down to relationships. And we all know, you can build light relationships. We all met people at Mobile Tech that we had never met face to face, but we kind of knew them through social media. But that connection doesn't happen until that face to face. So there's a handshake. So there's Tiffany, we hugged it out this morning. So there's that connection, right? That makes a big difference. And what Oscar's done is gone out in the community and in a very respectful way, is you've gone looking for business by serving others. Is that a good way to put it?
That's a perfect way to put it. And as far as the relationships on social media, just within the detailing industry, Chris Williams out of South Carolina,
right.
I followed him and he followed me on social media. It wasn't until we were all at SEMA that we met. We had that connection, and now at MTE with Richard Hutchins out of the UK, we follow each other on social media on a committee together for the IDA.
Is he a cool dude or what?
Yeah, and then we come in and it's just like we meet at Mobile Tech, and it's that whole different connection now.
Yeah.
Now we're messaging each other almost every day on work stuff and personal stuff. So it's
what a cool dude though.
Yeah, those connections are definitely important, and investing in people is
it's there. And so Erik, so now you also now you're hearing a whole. Oscar's like, hey, dude, surf's up. It's like, like cool weather, cool brews. We got waves, But you've got another thing is it's like freaking frozen tundra. You guys got 2 seasons, winter and after winter.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You got you guys hear crickets for like 2 weeks, and then it goes back to frozen, and all the crickets are dead out of the trees. So kind of explain your struggles coming up, because this is cool. I don't care where you live, but kind of explain, your. How you went about it, and the shops. You've got a really cool approach because you started out in shops part-time, so to say, and then just recently jumped into a shop. So I'm excited because I kind of did the same thing. So this is fun.
So when I started out, I had a truck, I got a trailer, and just started doing mobile work. And then obviously winters are bad. So what I did was I started making connections with people who had storage units or big storage facilities. And so I started working on cars, because everybody stores their nice cars in winter, and then I could work on them whenever I wanted, just as long as they were done by May, so everybody could take them out. So I did that, and then I kind of started working on boats because they were in storage as well. That got me through a couple winters, and then I finally saved up enough of grinding during the summer and winter, and got myself a shop this I think it was December. Yeah. So pretty recently.
And so talk about the savings, because we talked, and this is something that I preach a lot about. So Oscar, you said 5-6 months of you had that much
of overhead. Yeah. And that's just rent. And I added, the bills, electricity, Wi-Fi, whatever I have in there.
Right.
And, HOA fees, whatever it is, 5-6 months. in case you do have that slow month or 2 slow months. Or in this situation, mobile tech 2 weeks ago, big bear now.
Yeah. So you got some time off.
So I get some time off, but I know that overhead is there.
Right.
Not worrying about it.
In that, so, and you were same way, Erik, you kind of had, several months of backup put into, how much, okay, so you just moved in, basically a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
How much savings did you have enough, overhead wise, not dollar wise, but how many months of backup did you have? And did that include your personal expenses?
Yeah. So obviously with mobile, there's not much overhead, which is nice, which gave me the opportunity to save up all that. And I probably saved up about 6 months of the rent of the shop I was looking at. And then I kept myself a $20,000 budget for the deposit and putting the shop together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you put, it's funny. I just read something this morning. I sent it to Diane. It says, act every day, live like you're broke. And I've always loved that philosophy. Buy like you're broke. Put yourself on a budget like you're broke, and you'll be wealthy beyond belief. And it's not saying don't live, but all of us have a tendency of, when we start making money, we start, even if you're good at saving, save more. Save more. It's better to have, especially when the economy crashes or something, because and this is a question to both of you. When you've got that nest, you've got a safety net like that, doesn't it, I think it frees your mind up to be a little more creative. You're just not as, you're not as freaked out.
Yeah. Having a shop and working, and again, I'm a one-man shop. Erik is too. So we don't have employees. So right now, we're shut down for the week because we're up here, but we're still working our social media. We're still, booking in and talking to our clients and trying to bring in new stuff. But it does give you that peace of mind when you have that savings. And it's kind of just like having a, 9 to 5. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You're not, spending all your money on one weekend and then you got to be broke, for a whole week until you get paid again. So definitely having a safety net. And that's just for the bills. You don't have to be eating steak and lobster every night,
Right.
But at the same time, it's just to have that safety net, to be able to have that freedom. And that's what we all, I heard that a lot in MTE. I'm in my own business and detailing for myself because I want that freedom. But that freedom comes with the hard work, and definitely saving in money takes a big factor in that, because if you don't have that safety net, you don't have that freedom.
Right. There's discipline. And if you're not disciplined to put money away when the money's good, you're going to be really freaked out when the money's not good. And I always came through as I would put 25% of our work away. So for every $100 that I earned, I put $25 away. So on those big weeks, man, I was just stockpiling money. I get this, a detailer. I had a private banker through Wells Fargo, which is I won't even go there. If you bank with those guys, I got real sour on these guys, But my point to this is that I put so much of our income away that we have private banking. And if you don't know anything about private banking, go check into it. I mean, that's what the rich people do. And I'm, or wealthy. And so it was pretty cool to be a blue collar person, to have that level of exposure and attention at the banking level. And it's because they saw what I was bringing in and how much of that I was putting away. And they thought that's very responsible. Matter of fact, I just got a credit offer today, and I was like, I took it because it's like, you can't beat it. It's cheap money, and it just builds my credit up more. Here I am in my 50s, and I'm still always out to build stronger credit and stronger financial stabilization. Does that make sense? So now let's go through. This is going to be shocking to some, especially if you're new. And I love the new people in the industry. We met a lot of new people down at Mobile Tech, and our industry's changed a lot.
In the last few years, yeah.
Yeah, it's changed a lot. COVID got us a little rock'em sock'em robot. We got a little bit of a, there's people going at each other and stuff, and it's natural. So to both of you, going back to, you're not so far out of mobile, so this is probably going to be more to the top of your mind. I'm blown away at people that say mobile is a lot cheaper than having a shop, and here's why. Shop is fixed. It's there. It's an expense. But you know what? What most mobile detailers aren't doing is they're not keeping track of the time they spend on the road in between jobs. And so they don't start their hours. I'll talk to somebody and I'll say, okay, what are you doing per hour? Oh, I'm doing 75 bucks an hour. Cool. Does that include your travel time? No. Okay. How many hours a week are you driving? Probably about 10. Okay. So you're not doing 75 bucks an hour. You're doing probably closer to $60 an hour because you're not dividing your math out right. And so when you take that into consideration, if you are booked up constant, I think, and you guys give me your input on this, I think a shop could actually save you money if you're booked up constantly, but you got to go hunting for that. So Erik, we'll start with you on that. What's your thoughts on that?
I think staying booked is key, and you've talked with me about that, with staying on the marketing train instead of being intermittent with it. But yeah, when I did mobile, I would start my clock when I left my house, which kind of saved me from those issues. And my fuel costs added up a lot, travel time, and then if you forget something and you're driving all over the place, and it's just kind of a wreck. So definitely I can see the benefits of having the shop and not having to do so much travel, and all your work's in one spot, and you can set up all your carts so you're more efficient. And
the convenience is unreal.
It's awesome. I'm loving it. So
it's unreal.
I think that there's
a lot of there's a lot of setup and takedown time when you're mobile too.
Mm-hmm.
And cleanup that you don't have to do in a shop because it's just at your fingertips in a shop.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm seeing too is you can have other projects sitting there waiting for fill-in time. If you're slow, or if you're waiting for the client to come in to deliver the vehicle, you can start on the next project.
Well, and that's a good point. The cool thing we liked about a shop once we got in there, and this is going all the way back to my window tinting days back in God, it seems unreal. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say the year.
Did they have window tinting back then?
They did. They did. Yeah. Oh, okay. Check this out. When I first got into window tinting, when it became a thing here in SoCal, one of the big options so we had film, but it was difficult to work with, right? You can imagine by today, it's kind of difficult, but we had spray-on window tinting come out. And so they actually would flow it down the back windows. You had a tray. Oh my God, it was a mess. It was a mess. We never got into it. We went and watched a company came out and demoed it for us, and we just said, nah, we're not going there. And it was interesting, but that was a fad for a little bit, and a lot of people probably don't even know that, because they had flow-on or spray-on window tinting. But what we noticed was, this was the coolest part of a shop that a lot of people don't think about. Erik, you just nailed it. Is that we would take and have somebody call. Let's say it was back then, the tricky windows were Targas, Porsche Targas, the 911s had that window, Corvettes. Well, we were one of the first companies to be able to take and wrap that with no exposure lines. There's no seam lines in it. We could get it in a piece. And so we would have Corvettes, we made money off those because it was our niche, right? Well, if we were booked up, the nice thing about having a shop is we would bring those cars in, one or two of them, and just tell them, hey, if you can leave it for a whole week, we'll have it done on Friday. And that would be our fill. So we'd just we'd go and do a cut out a side window and do it. And then when we'd jump on the back window and get it done. That was the nice thing of having a shop, was just that you could fill extra stuff in. So Oscar, what's your take on that?
I agree with the whole thing with filling in. I love having my own schedule, and a lot of people always ask me, how do you do it? Because I'll be working on a car from 9 to like 11, and then I'll go to the gym, and then I'll have lunch, and I'll come in, and that's because I'm able to fill the schedule with vehicles that come in. Even sometimes after 4 or 5 p.m., a vehicle gets dropped off for the next day. If I really wanted to, I can just stay late and work it, and then have a day off the following day. And a lot of that is just having that discipline of having the schedule and staying on top of it, because I've seen that backfire on some people. And auto body, if you guys have ever been involved with that industry, you can go to some auto body shops and they got cars there for months. If you're going to take your car in there and they're going to restore it, it's been years that they just sit there. And my biggest thing is, I don't like to have vehicles in my shop if I'm not going to work on them in the next 48 hours.
Right.
Why have them? It's just sitting. It's just going to sit there. Again, because I'm a one-man shop and I'm doing all the work. But if I got, a coating that's curing, I'm definitely bringing in the next one. There's no reason why I can't be polishing and all that and getting it ready while that car sits there.
Absolutely.
I definitely don't waste that type of money and time by just looking at a car curing for the next 24 hours, just sitting there. So there's always things to be doing. Correct. Yeah. And, there's always things going out. But again, it just comes into that self-discipline and being able to stay on track and on schedule with things and staying proactive.
So, Erik, you had a cool thing that you did. So being in a winter environment is you decided that, okay, you found shop space that you could rent by the project, so to say. So kind of kind of go into that and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So those storage facilities I was talking about earlier was they were just huge buildings where they had tons of cars in them, or it was just a used car lot that I used to work at. There was a gentleman who had a machine shop, but he had a wash bay that he only used, every once in a while. And so if I got jobs in the winter, and I still did this before I got my shop for this fall because it gets cold early and stays cold late. But is I would just call up whoever was the closest shop and say, hey, can I borrow the shop for the day? And I'd pay him $50 for the day so I could get my project in.
That's killer.
And it worked out great for years.
And then we went one direction too, is that when I first started up, I was in Idaho. So same thing, winter season, right? And I fixed my garage up, not to the standards that people do now. I mean, but my shop was a nice little workshop and I could fit a car in there. And I wasn't quite as efficient because it was a smaller, tight space. But I just tell the people, hey, instead of having a car for a day, I'm going to have it for 2. And it kept me busy all winter long. And I wasn't afraid. None of my neighbors even knew what I was doing. I mean, nobody had an idea. I didn't wash it on site. I actually washed it off site and it would get a little crud on it, and then I just, no rinse it off, and get it cleaned back up. And then they'd either come and get it or I'd deliver it. And if I delivered it, I'd get it to their place and then I would do another no rinse for the delivery. And I set the expectation that, hey, the roads are bad today, or they would just go ahead and leave it. They would until the roads got better, until the weather got better. So there's always a solution. And now let's talk about staff. So
hey, Renny, real quick.
Uh-huh.
Before we jump into the staff thing, I have a couple of questions that came in regarding the mobile detailing. And I thought maybe we could address them real quick.
Absolutely.
Billy asked about mileage and mileage charges. So if you're a mobile detailer, how can you work that in, getting paid for your time to travel to the job site? Should you just build it into your quotes? Should you have a mileage charge? What do you think?
So what I was doing is there's an actual app that my CPA pushed me to when she found out when I was doing mobile. I started going through bookkeeping and all that, and they were kind of breaking everything down for me. There's an app from the minute you leave. If it's business related, you track all your miles, and it just goes into your books at the end of the month. You track all your miles. If it's personal, you push them to the right. If it's business, it's to the left. And then you can literally see how much money you're making on that if you're working. If it's travel for one site to another, you can get reimbursed for all of that stuff at the end of the year.
And then how we charged for it back in the day, because we had an area that was a small county. This happened both in Texas and up in Idaho. And even here in SoCal, we had an office here at my buddy John. Is what we do is somebody would call, and let's say John was located in Highland, East Highlands Ranch. So let's say somebody called Rancho Cucamonga. He knew it was going to take him half an hour out and a half an hour back. So when he found out where they were, he just added 1 hour of labor. So whatever your shop rate is for your mobile operation, hopefully it's at $75 to $100 an hour. He would add $100. He wouldn't tell the customer that. And then they say, oh, wow, well, that's a little more expensive. And he goes, yeah, well, I got travel time and so forth, and we do, absolutely gorgeous work. And we'd love to, we think that you're going to really see our quality justifies the additional cost. And so he would put that out there. And if they said, no, thanks, you either got to you start eating jobs like that, you're going to go broke. It's not a good thing to lower your standards. People need to raise their standards for you, not you lower your standards for them.
Yeah, so what I did was when I had people call me, they'd ask for prices. We'd talk about the packages. I wouldn't give them a price until I figured out where they lived. So then I could incorporate it into the price, or if it was really far, or sometimes I'd ask that first. I'd say, great, where are you from? Like, what town are you from? Because, my area is very spread out with the, county roads and country roads and stuff. So
yeah,
figuring that out before you give a price can help reduce having to add the fee on, because then they're like, oh, $300 for a detail. It's kind of pushing my budget. Let's do that. And then you hit them with a $40 or $50 travel fee. Then they're like, I don't really want to do that anymore. So
it all comes down to wording. When I offer rides to my clients when they drop off the vehicle to work and home, but the first question is, where are you coming from? Or are you local to the Ventura area? Mm-hmm. If they say Camarillo, Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, I'll do it. But if they're going to Santa Clarita in the LA area, it's like,
no way.
That's an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I just incorporate that into the getting to know your client. I usually bring that in with how did you hear about my business, or how did you hear about me? And then it goes into where you're from, and then just gather it without being too.
If anyone's looking, Chris, for that app, it's called Mile IQ, and it tracks all your business miles. That's specifically what it's for, is to track business miles. So Mile IQ is what it is. You can get it down on the App Store. If you guys don't have it.
And our accountants, so our vehicles, we've got vehicles that are solely for business. So 100%, everything goes onto that vehicle. There is no personal mileage. So if you've got a van that you're not using, that's all you're using it for is your business, talk to your bookkeeper and your accountant, your CPA, and they'll figure that out. And that's really the cleanest way to go about it, is just to have something that is dedicated 100% to the business. Once you get to that point, and it's not too difficult. So, okay, Oscar, when you went mobile, you've got a truck. Did you go trailer or did you go van?
I literally had everything out of my truck.
Everything out of your truck, in the bed of the truck.
The bed of the truck. I moved the seats up. I just kind of adapt and overcome. I didn't have no fancy rails coming out. I built it out of pallets. I bolted everything down to pallets, and it was hard moving and hauling everything because you couldn't get the latest and greatest things.
Right.
So I had to make it work. All my containers were in the back seat. All my towels, everything. I just got 30-gallon bins and went from that, and
that works.
And setup definitely took about 20-30 minutes at each site, and then breaking down took another 30-40. So all that stuff, and I was not charging enough, and my CPA literally said, "You're about to go broke. All that savings is going to go away." So that's when I'd open up my eyes and started doing the prices and all that stuff. But yeah, I didn't even get into a trailer or a van. It's literally everything out of my 2012 Chevy Silverado that I ran everything out of there.
Taylor asked a great question. How do you grow a mobile detailing business then? This is a huge demand. Mobile work generated $98K last year. So here's my first question. Absolutely. First off, Taylor, the first thing I did, I always started out mobile, and I never shut a mobile operation down. So once we moved into a shop, we kept the mobile option there, but it was the premium service. So Taylor, for instance, if somebody called in and we gave them a quote and it was $600, it was at least $100 to $200 more for mobile. We just added that on there. When I say at least, is we took into considerations we just talked about. Where they were, did they have a garage for us to work in, and how far out and back was it going to be? And so we did, coatings. We came in, we sold our last shop. Coatings were just really, really starting to get popular. We would do a basic coating at somebody's location, but we wouldn't do any advanced paint correction or advanced coatings on location. We brought that back in. That had to come into the shop. But so it absolutely, now 98K. I'm not, and this is aimed at Taylor himself. I'm not impressed when somebody tells me they sold $1 million worth of detailing. I'm impressed at what did you make off that $1 million? Because listen, selling $1 million, or in this case 98,000, isn't the question. It's how much you made off that. Did you make a living? Were you able to take an average? What was your shop rate average? So out of that 98,000 of income, what did you actually make per hour, and what was the profits? What was your cost? Get used to looking at those numbers. That's the most important part. So to build up a mobile, I'm not discouraged on mobile. I'm encouraged, and I think that's the best way to start out in the industry, because it's fixed cost. You know what those costs are going to be. It allows you to start building up your reputation. But with that, too many detailers look at mobile and they say, "Oh, I can be cheaper than the fixed guys." That's actually not true. You need to be more than the fixed guys, not cheaper, because you've got a lot of travel time in there, and it's a luxury service. It's a 5-star service, or you're getting to that point. Again, I started out real basic, So Erik, how did you start out?
So I had a truck. I got a trailer because I wanted to keep my things separate because I had other jobs going on at the time. And yeah, I started out too cheap and was losing money on fuel because, Rams don't get good gas mileage. I was getting like 7 miles per gallon pulling that trailer. And so it was, once I got my prices up, it worked. And people would pay for it because it was luxury. I'd pick up their cars from work and take them to whatever shop I was renting for the day and drop them back off before they were done with work, and they'll pay for it.
There is get this is a great idea. And if you got any of you guys incorporating this in your business, I just expect a little wet my beak fee off this. Just kidding. We had one of our mafia members that took and got into detailing. They got into mobile, and immediately they started building up there. They did it like Oscar. They went out and really got connected at their local area. And this was just a few years back. And they had a huge corporate America was setting up around them. So they had these campuses. They were in right outside a suburb of Denver. Okay. So they had all these big companies setting up. Well, what they ended up doing is they were going out there, but a lot of the executives didn't like giving up their cars. So they started a whole nother service called overnight detailing, part of their company. And what they do is they would pick the customer's car up at their home when the customer got home at 7 or 8 at night, and it would be back there and ready for them in the morning. So they did overnight service for executives. They killed it so much so I think they ended up selling their company to another competitor that ended up buying them out. They kept their mobile side going, but what they did is they worked out of their home garage. They went and got the licensing and everything else, and they worked out of their home garage. And it was a father and son team, and they had one of them did the overnight, stuff, and the other one did the day. They had a company going 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. How cool is that? And so, Taylor, think out of the box. $98,000 is a lot of money, especially when you're starting out. You're, a year or 2, 3 into it. But what I'd love, Taylor, if you're there, is I want to hear your shop rate, and I want to hear what your costs were. Then after your shop rate, what you brought in, I want to hear what your net rate was. So, okay, I brought in $100 an hour. My net rate was $75 an hour. Okay, now I'm really impressed. That's $75 an hour. So now you can go back and figure out $25 an hour times the amount you worked minus out that 98. That's what you make. Did you make $50, $60, $70, $80,000? If you're mobile, your expenses other than insurance, your insurance is going to be high. Your fuel is going to be high. And then if you're employing people, you're going to have that. But if you're on your own, you won't do that. And then you got to figure out your taxes. Did you pay your taxes off that? I just read something. There's somebody starting up training. God bless people's souls. This person talked to me not too long ago and is getting into mentoring people, but hasn't paid their federal taxes in 10 years. And I'm like, well, why? Oh, I take all cash. Man, they're going to come after you. I don't care if you're mobile or not. You're going to survive that, especially if you're in California, New York, the hungry states right now, Colorado, believe it or not. They're going to come after you. You're going to dodge that bullet for so long. And then when they catch up to you, if you're several years behind, you ain't going to recover from that. You're going to go back to work for somebody. So, think legitimately. But Taylor, thanks for that question. That was a great question. So, all right. So, Chris, any other questions before I'm going to wrap this thing up and ask these guys a couple more questions. So we talked about knowing your numbers, right? That's really important. Know what it's costing you to do the detail. I can tell you right now, all the way back to from 98 until 2010, a stage 1 in 98 cost us $9. Okay, to provide all the products, the pads, the equipment, everything. It was $9 in hard cost. In 2010, that had gone up to $13.97. So when you took our pad costs, our product cost, all that into it, not our labor, just raw materials, it cost us $13.97 to do a stage 1. Okay, I knew my numbers, and I still do. You'll ask Diane. I can see a hiccup from a mile away. If I see a little blip on our expenses, and the reason why is I've got an app for our CPA and our accountant, our bookkeeper built us. But even before they know, my spidery senses go off, and I know when we're spending too much money. I know when we should be spending money and when we shouldn't be money. Listen, it's all dependent on what's coming on. I look at what Chris is doing. I look at deposits coming in. And if deposits slow down, we're booked out for training now until June. I don't care about that. Well, how are we looking past that? I don't spend based off. I look at things. If things are staying steady, I stay steady with my spending. If things slow, I'm slow with my spending. If things speed up, okay, that's when I do improvements to the building. The other thing I look at before I wants versus needs. Okay, do you need it, right? Or do you want it? We've all, and detailers are guilty of that.
I think the first podcast that we did, I said it, and a lot of people, you may laugh at it, but I call myself a detailer on a budget. You got to have a budget. There's always someone's always flexing something on social media, and I want it. I want that flex. Bluetooth speaker in my shop. But guess what? I was using speakers that Chris was probably using back in his old days. I remember he's seen them. He goes, "I used to use these speakers."
Yeah, way back.
Production.
Yeah, way back.
You know what? Those speakers work just as great as that Bluetooth one.
That's it.
And it's knowing again your numbers and your spending. I think this last year the first thing I bought that was brand new for my shop was those wall lockers that Chris came out and helped me. Chris Williams out of the East Coast came out and helped me put up. Everything else was, the display cases and everything, the tables and all that. It's Craigslist or whatever it is. And like I said, laugh at it. People have been in my shop. It's like, it's a nice shop.
Oh, it's a cool
but
shop.
You don't need to go out and buy the latest and greatest. I always look at who's started up a business and didn't make it. And now they're selling all their stuff.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that.
Especially in LA.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, the shops pop up and whatnot. And then just all of a sudden they got to sell. And that's the biggest thing is it's cool to have that nice looking shop and the light tunnel. But do you need a light tunnel to detail, or do you want a light tunnel to detail?
Well,
we've had this conversation with Erik when he called me. Do you want to spend all that money on a light tunnel?
And the best advice I got with setting up my shop is I've talked to a lot of guys who have them already. Is I'm renting my shop, so everything I'm getting is something I can move to a different facility. I'm not paying to epoxy the floor. I'm not painting a bunch of stuff on the walls.
If it's attached, it stays.
Putting a drain in.
Yeah. If it's attached, your shop is 200 square feet bigger than the shop that we had when we did over $1 million a year in sales. Our shop was exactly like Oscar's. It was small. I was thrifty. I didn't know. I grew up in the era, and it's coming. It's coming. I keep telling everybody it's coming. I grew up when every 5 years we had and David's watched this, every 5 years we had a financial hiccup in the global economy. We haven't had one of those in 10 years. And everybody's saying, oh, man, it's because the government's got better. Governments never get that good. Don't trust the government that much, man. You got a lot more. All of us, there's several of us here that have seen the government spinning at its worst. If you want to see the government, how good the government does, just watch the military budgets. It's freaking crazy and the waste it happens. My point to saying this, we've had 10 years of an economy building. It used to be every 5 years the economy would get shaken a little bit. And it would take and shake out all the nuts and bolts, and all the loose nuts would go to the ground, meaning the small business that just weren't stable. We haven't had that shake up in a little while, and it's going to shake up. And your goal is not to be one of those nuts that hits the ground, is to be solid and keep your spending. I look at all the trends now, these mega shops that go in, mega, and they're gorgeous, man. You guys, if you got one of those, I'm jealous, right? It only took me 30 years to get this, and I don't care. I didn't want a fancy shop. I wanted a shop that I owned eventually, and I wanted a shop that was very thrifty, and that's what I look for. I didn't look for mainstream because I didn't want mainstream. We had a lot of nice vehicles in our shop, and I really didn't want people knowing where we were or what we did. I just wanted to go under the radar, and I was about relationships and reputation. That's what I sold off of. All right, so closing it down, walk, crawl, run, okay? So we've heard our stories about walking or crawling and then walk and then run. Is that this to me, my shop right now is a run. I've only done this twice in my entire career. I only got up and ran twice. And the reason why is because I leased the other shops and I took it to a walk base. Everything I put in that shop was not bolted to the walls. The only thing that was secured to the walls was paint. That was it. The flooring was, I could lift it up and take it with me. And the other thing to be careful of is triple net leases. If you go into a triple net, you're in trouble. If you don't know what a triple net is, look it up. You should be in a standard monthly lease, not triple net. Triple net, they pass on all the cost, all the taxes, all the improvements of the buildings and properties to you. An illustration of this is I got into my first lease ever was a triple net, and all of a sudden they came through and they re-blacktopped all the parking lot and they re-striped it, and I was so happy until I got the bill. They divided that by 33 units, and I owed them $3,900, and it was non-negotiable because that was a triple net, and I passed it on. At the end of my lease, I was going to re-sign up my lease. They were pushing for a triple net. I said no. I found out they're going to re-roof the entire building, and that was going to be about $7,000 each unit. to pay for that. And I just said, thanks, but no thanks. I found a new location and I didn't go back into the lease. So there's all kinds of stuff. So, okay. Parting messages. Let's do this too. We're going to give a little plug because Oscar's really involved, as is Diane and I and Chris, into the IDA. So let's talk about what's going on with the IDA for a second, then we'll depart.
Good things coming out IDA. There was a lot of talk for a few years now about the consumer website. Consumer website is something that us detailers can turn around and send to our customers, and it's up and running now. We have a lot of stuff to work on it. By the end of March, we're going to have a map involved in there to where the consumers can actually go out there and find certified detailers within the IDA. It's kind of like the map that we have on the IDA website. If you're a member already, you can actually go out there and find other members. This
Oscar,
is something that you can push.
What's the
What's that?
URL for that again?
It's Detailing Nearby that Josh came up to. DetailingNearby.com. And you go on that website right now, and it's just a landing page, but we even broke down the conversations that you already have with your clients. And I've used this on a couple of mine where I just sent to new clients, and it literally breaks down the difference between a wax, a sealant, ceramic coating. I mean, a lot of us have that nailed down, but how cool would it be? I mean, it's up right there. Chris has it up right there. Attached to this, you're going to be able to find, the detailer, find a detailer. We're going to have resources out there for the consumers. How often, it's right there. Who is the IDA? Again, we're trying to take this to another level with these certifications like the mechanics have, the plumbing, all these other industries, is to be side by side with these guys and taking it. So this website's really going to help detailers within the IDA to promote themselves, you know what I'm saying? And to go out there. Another thing we have is, if you didn't know, we have a lot of committees within the IDA for social media. We have health and wellness. We have trade show and education. If you want to get involved, go into the IDEA website and just hit that button, get involved. We sign up so many people during MTE to get involved. And that kind of helps you and gets to see the back scenes of the IDEA, what's going on. This morning at 06, I was on a Zoom call for health and wellness here from Big Bear, but it's 9 o'clock on the East Coast, and Jason Rose was holding it out of Colorado. And, it's just different things that we have going on to help grow this industry and really help the detailing industry. If you're not about it, it's okay. It's not for everyone. But if you are about it, you want to get involved, feel free to reach out to myself. When it comes to IDA and detailing, I'm willing to help anybody out. I'll answer any questions. I got involved right when I got into detailing. I was in the IDA before I came training here. Jumped on a committee. From there, I was nominated to be on the board of directors, and that's where I stand now. I'm going into my second year in the board of directors. So definitely a good thing. We're trying to hit up all the trade shows and just get out there and be known for, the IDA to coming together as a community.
Well, what's cool is the Founders Club, as Diane and I push pretty strongly, and the Founders Club down at Mobile Tech is to pump some money. As the founders, we've got a separate budget that the founders, through joining the Founders Club, we put the money back into scholarship programs, back into now. And what I really pushed for, and didn't get pushed back at all, but I pushed for a huge budget to start taking and pushing the consumer side of connection, to where the consumers, the IDA starts becoming that page becomes the source to find a detailer, and in all markets, not just, but everywhere across the country and across the world. And it's going to happen. It's just going to take time. And so we're pretty excited about that. So, all right, guys. Well, Chris, we're going to get these guys back to work. So, Erik, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So it's so thanks for joining the Renny Doyle podcast. Like always, if you've got something that you want to hear about, let us know. Drop a comment below. Share this. Is that we want to make an impact in one person's life. That's what Chris and I's mission is. It seems simple. We don't do this for the money. We want to thank P&S once again for making this happen. They sponsor it every single episode. And again, we just want to take and thank you for tuning in. Gloria, Rose, we'll always love you, man. Thanks for loving Big Bear. Thanks for being my friend. I'll miss you, but I'm going to live a life that would make you proud. We always talked about living a fun life, and you definitely did that. And it's made me want to connect with my community. So guys, go out, connect with each other, love each other, be kind to each other, and have a great day. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time. Happy detailing, everybody.